So I saw something on a declutter video that I just feel like, oh my goodness, has to be addressed. So we're going to talk about this, and yes, I'm probably going to do a little bit of a rant on this one coming up next. You know, one of the questions that I've gotten on some of my declutter videos is, okay, I'm trying to declutter, but how far is too far? Is it possible to go way too far on the declutter spectrum? And the answer to that is yes. I was actually watching a declutter video from another YouTuber, and I won't name them because I don't want that to be a thing. But I was watching a declutter video, and they were talking about how they are into extreme minimalism. And for those of you who really don't get the difference, extreme minimalism is when you really strip down everything in your household, where you are just living with the absolute minimum you need to function. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think everyone goes through, even if they're not really trying to be a minimalist, they go through a period of time on occasion where they have to really cut down their life. Maybe it's due to divorce. Maybe you're moving. Maybe your life is just changing and you want to just get rid of a lot of stuff and you just feel cluttered. That's the whole idea of decluttering, is to get rid of some of that stuff and to show you how to get rid of that stuff. But there's a line. This particular YouTuber was talking about how you should declutter to the point where everything looks like a hotel room, where you don't have anything personal. And this person was talking about how great that is and how freeing that is. And I thought, oh my gosh, I hate hotel rooms. They are, I would call them emotionally sterile, if that's a thing. It sounds like a thing. I just made that up, but it sounds like a thing. It is. They're emotionally sterile. I get no comfort from that environment. I don't like it. You can't tell if you're in Phoenix or Boston, you know, when you're in a hotel room. And it's not somewhere I want to spend a lot of time. Even though, yes, it's decluttered, it feels very impersonal. That is not the point of decluttering in my mind, is to go to that extreme. And every person has their own level of what decluttering means. Some people are clutter bugs by nature. And so decluttering may be getting rid of 10%. Other people want to completely downsize. And when you're decluttering to downsize, it's a little bit more extreme, because you are actually getting rid of things because you're going to be in a smaller space. When I moved to the town I live in now, I was moving from a family home where we'd raised our 3 kids into 680 square feet. I had to declutter. I had to get rid of things. I had to let go of a lot of things. There just wasn't room for it. That was the bottom line. And so the decluttering wasn't so I could call myself a minimalist, even though it was a very minimal lifestyle. It was to fit into a new space. So a lot of times when you declutter, it is dependent on why you're decluttering. Are you fitting into a much smaller space? Because you're going to have to make harder decisions to do that. I know some people, and actually there was a comment on my last declutter video that talked about how, you know, this person had moved several times and they're now moving into a smaller space, and they were going to finally have to make some of those hard decisions. They didn't want to make those first couple of moves, and they were paying to put those things in storage, and it didn't make sense anymore. That happens to a lot of us. We think, well, you know, I might need this, so let's pay for storage and, you know, just store it. And then several years down the road, you're like, yeah, why are we storing this? Do we really need it? And so decluttering is that process. And I've talked about it being a process before. But the process is different for everyone. And that depends on your personality and your comfort level. But in my mind, the process is to simplify your life. It is not to create a sterile environment. And there's something about when we age, especially, those memories, photographs, the things you really treasure become such a comfort to you. There is nothing worse than decluttering to the point you feel like you're in an institution. Is that how you want to feel when you retire, that you're institutionalized and you've done it to yourself? No. To me, that's a big no. What your life has been and who you are because of that life means something. And here again, for every person, it's different. That's one of the reasons you really can't declutter for someone else. You can help them. You can assist them. You can encourage them. But you can't do it for them. That's incredibly invasive. And they will push back on that. So, and we've talked about that too. When you have a spouse that doesn't want to declutter, or a family member, it's a process, and it's an emotional process. But getting that person to the point they feel like they're in a sterile environment is not a good thing. And it's not a good thing for you either. Just because someone on YouTube or somebody tells you you need to get rid of everything doesn't mean you do. You just need to be very choosy about what you keep. And those things you keep are the ones that give you comfort. Even Marie Kondo, that does the, minimalist thing, she's like, keep those things that give you comfort, that give you joy. And you absolutely should keep those things. It's really important to understand that we declutter to achieve a goal. Whether that's being, having a freer environment that makes you feel better. Whether that's to fit into a smaller space if you're downsizing. Whether that's to be not moving as much stuff if you are moving. We declutter to reach a goal. We don't declutter to reach a label like minimalist. That is not the thing. And that is not absolutely anywhere close to what I encourage people to do. So if you're decluttering, remember, you don't have to do anything anyone else says. You have to do what's right for you. And the level that you choose to be at may change over time. But that's your choice. Go with what makes you feel good. Not everybody else. No one else matters but you. And so remember that. No matter what anyone says or anyone tells you, you are in charge of you. You are in charge of how much you declutter and when. And only do what makes you happy. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please click subscribe, and I'll see you next time.